Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Just Jazz podcast. Today I am here with Emerson. Emerson, I believe we've had many conversations about some of the adversity that he has overcome. And as usual, we're just going to have a casual chat. Before this begins, though, and as you can hear, we got a laugh track in the back. They're going to find this hilarious. Anyway, if you like this video and you like what I do, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and if you're not watching this on YouTube and you're listening to it on SoundCloud, Apple, and Spotify, give it a like, give it a rating, just help me out. And with all that being said, all links to everything I discussed are in the description below. So without further ado, Emerson, I always ask, where were you born and what time, if you know?
Well, I was born in Philadelphia. Time? Oh man, that's like really accurate. I actually don't know. I should know something like that, but
you don't know that?
I don't know.
It's all good. All right.
Yeah. But I was born in Philadelphia.
Okay, all right. Perfect.
Right.
So my next question is so tell me a little about your upbringing, what your parents do. Obviously, you get a round of applause from the people in the back. So yeah, tell me a little more about your upbringing.
Okay. I grew up in Germantown, Brickyard to be specific.
Where?
Brickyard.
I think I've heard of that on the news.
Yeah,
okay, go on.
yeah. It was. I would say it's a little rough, out there. But overall, the experiences that I had, the support of, growing up, majority of my friends didn't have both parents in the household, and I had that. So I really appreciated that, seeing the dynamic of a relationship and how a man treats a woman and vice versa, right? So I guess in regards to my upbringing, something happened with me and art, and I had a speech impediment. I used to stutter bad. I was, if I get frustrated, it was even worse, So with these frustrations and all things that I was experiencing coming to age, I just saw my dad, and my dad just looked so peaceful and so happy and just like satisfied when he was just drawing. He would always draw like Conan the Barbarian, I don't know if you're in the comics, but like Marvel, stuff like that, right? So I saw that and I'm like, I don't know what that is he's doing, but I want to do what that guy's doing for sure, So that turned into something. It turned into, pretty much what I do today is a digital illustrator. So, yeah, in a nutshell, if I had to talk about my upbringing and humble beginnings, it's always going to somehow, some way, the worlds of art and me just would forever connected.
How did you get over your stuttering?
Oh, man.
And do you still stutter? I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I've never heard you stutter, but just curious.
I think that I think I would even go as far. It might be stretching to say this, but between my mother getting on me and kind of telling me, "All right, Nick, slow down," you know what I mean? And then I was just like, it's really bad. Kids are cruel.
Yes.
They'll tease you, but art calmed me. My mom guided my conversations in a way that the thing is that your thoughts move faster than your speech, and somehow they're moving at two different paces, and that's like a hiccup for some people, and it's just a matter of you dialing it back a notch and really think, okay, what do I want to say and how do I want to say it?
Right.
And the thing is that most people do that naturally, but people who suffer from this, it's rough. But I would say ultimately my mother played a significant role in me overcoming this.
So you never got speech therapy or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No, never that. I guess I was I was too embarrassed to even like admit or you know what I mean. I would try to like avoid it, but as far as like I remember like when kids would try to talk to me about certain stuff, like, and I find myself doing it, and it's just like,
Oh, I
but,
remember.
it just sucks.
I remember a quick thing when I was in elementary school. We had this kid. I'm not going to say his name, but he had a stuttering problem.
Okay.
Every time we had to give a presentation, things that would usually last 5 minutes would last him 10 minutes. And now that I'm older, I feel bad for how we responded. Because the teacher would say, okay, next up is so-and-so.
And you already know.
Everybody would collectively groan out loud because we knew it was going to take him forever. And now that I'm older, I'm like, I've seen him since, and he's doing very well for himself. But I just remember thinking, what did that do to him? Us being so mean. Us just, what did that do to his self-esteem? Us groaning at him, because obviously he couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I just feel bad, like, looking back on it. I mean, I was a kid too, so I just chalk it up to being a child, but still. Like,
it does affect. But in a weird way though, it's medicine.
Okay.
It's medicine, because you got to think about it. Like, if everything in life came to you so easily, and then as an adult you just get stopped in your tracks, or you get rejected, or someone makes a mockery of you in some kind of way, like you'll develop over time like a defense mechanism to be able to stand tall and be able to say, what, this is an opinion shaped by someone who knows me very little.
Right.
So it's like you would have to go. It's cruel in a way, but you would have to go through that to actually be able to take that stance and that approach.
I just remember at the end, because he studied and everything. He had friends and everything, but sometimes he'd have to sit alone because the kids are mean.
Yeah.
And I felt bad, so I'm like, let me go sit with him. And he looked at me, and he said, why are you sitting with me? You were laughing at me.
Yeah, right?
And I said, because I feel bad. And he said, well, if you felt bad, you wouldn't have laughed at me. Yeah. And he got up and walked to another table. And we're in third grade. I felt terrible. That's when I started realizing what we do, how it can impact somebody else. And now that I'm older, good for him for putting me in my place. Yeah. Good for him. Yeah. But moving forward, so tell me a little more about your art and in what scenarios has art helped you get through the rough times?
Oh, man.
Give me an example of a rough time if you don't mind.
Okay.
And then, how did art help you?
Oh man, I remember. I love art. I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not halfway in it. So the thing is that just like as rich as my approach and my ethic and everything that helps build up to my ability to draw and express myself, I like to think of it that same level of detail and loyalty. Like I put that in my relationships. I don't look at them as two different things. So when you devote a long, like I was with this girl for a long time, and then it failed. It failed. And I don't really care to go into particulars, but it did hurt. So the thing is that what helped me and helped my mind keep going is sharpening that sword and sharpening my craft. And I remember shortly before the breakup, I downloaded a program. I'll never forget it. It was Adobe Photoshop. I snapped. Something just happened, and it just I was fully immersed into this thing. And I heard about it. I knew it existed, but I was poor. I didn't have access to a computer. And I remember that same year that when I broke up, when we broke up, I bought an Acer computer. It was a piece of crap computer, but it did the job. So
They are pretty shitty.
yeah, they are. It's not the best.
Yes.
But I say all that to say is that it really just got me. It's like I couldn't afford a vacation, so I had to create my own world to take that vacation to, and that world was art. That world was Photoshop.
Now, some of the things you show me on your iPad, which is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
By the way, guys, I'm gonna leave a link to his Instagram and some of his work because I think it's cool. So all of that is that done on Photoshop? What's that program done on?
Okay, well, actually, it's Procreate. So I no longer do why are you laughing?
Because I'm a child. Procreate.
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't. That came out just a little bougie, just a little.
No,
I didn't mean to come off that way.
No, I'm laughing. I'm like baby making. I am a child. Continue with your creation.
No, but I kind of stepped away from Photoshop, and the same thing happened again. I found a new thing that I just got sucked into, and I remember walking to the Apple store every day, and I would see this new thing with the pen, the stylus pen. You can draw on a screen. I'm like, you can draw on a screen? What? How much does this cost?
Witchcraft.
What is? Yes, it's witchcraft. What is this? This is magnificent. Whatever do they speak? Like I was just getting caught up, just stuck in it. And I started drawing on that, and I downloaded this program, and the rest is history.
Okay. And the program, just to clarify, is called Procreate.
Procreate.
Okay, cool. So it's like you can freehand and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like what it is. It's almost like the cool cousin of Photoshop.
The cool cousin of Photoshop.
Yeah, because the thing is that you on Photoshop you get to manipulate a series of layers in various ways, right? What's the same thing with Procreate? You get to illustrate and manipulate those very same layers, and the advantage is the stylus pen, opposed to just the trackpad that you would have. And they have other installments prior to this, but like a Wacom tablet and Wacom pads, I had those too, but you can tell whoever engineered this software was an artist because they have everything right, like the brush strokes, like those very specific things. So it's just like, I don't know how to put it in words, but they're not giving me a check for this. But to the artists out there, like, treat yourself. Go to an Apple store, just mess with it. I guarantee you, it's gonna call you to buy it.
If you're a true artist.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, kind of veering away a little, not because it's not interesting, just very technical terms that not many people may understand. When we talk about adversity and your artwork and everything, you touched on this in private conversations with me. You said you have or had a brother that was is disabled, and do you think, would you mind telling me a little about him, and does he play a key role in why you started, like why you continue with art?
Well, for starters, my brother is no longer with us.
Okay. Very sorry.
Yeah. So, the thing is with him is and the dynamic between us is, we would bump heads, we would argue all of the time, but he always was consistent in supporting me and encouraging me and pushing me.
Okay.
And, a person in the position that he was in life, because I'm sure that, if he could have it any way, he wouldn't deal with the struggles that he had dealt with. But, what I can say is that it's like one time I remember we was chilling in Rittenhouse Square Park a few years back, and I'm sitting there complaining. I'm complaining because I need a new battery. For my computer. I burnt it out. And I'm sitting there complaining about a stupid battery, and here my brother is like happy and in the position that he's in life, it's like there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of things that come with it. Some people say, "Oh, what's the big deal? Oh, you're just in a wheelchair. You can do everything else, can't you?" And it's like, anyone who's from the outside looking in, thinking that, okay, well, you know, I think the average person doesn't understand the magnitude of struggle, of being able to just like keep going, knowing that you struggle with an illness here or there. Like it's a lot, like mentally, and the fact that he's still. I've never seen him, or I never heard him even speak in a way where it's like whatever, like this is going to keep me down. Like, no, this dude was independent, by every stretch of the imagination. Like he was very just like determined that he's not going to allow be bound to just what a chair can do. Like there's times where even against doctor's orders, he would try to like get up. He would try to get up out of a chair, and like, yeah, seriously, like even if it was to help the wrap gifts for Christmas time, just those moments, just seeing like, dad, like, like I can't afford, like I'm sitting there complaining about the dumb stuff, and it's like here my brother is like, like without effort, like effortlessly inspiring me by his just resilience, his I don't know, man. It was just you would have to meet him. He's a good dude.
It's one of the now. One question. First, did he ever just look at you and say, "Shut up"? Like he has his own issues, and you're like, "My battery."
Yeah, I don't want to hear that crap.
Yeah. Did he ever tell you to shut up?
No. You know what? The crazy part is that he never did that. He would always curve the conversation to like a silver lining and stuff. He'll always like bring it back to like, that whole, not the hoopla. I'm not gonna say or downplay it, but because he's my brother, he's supposed to say uplifting things, But yeah, he never did that. He actually he did the opposite. He just kept pushing me, encouraging me.
For my listeners, I have a lot of listeners who are disabled and love hearing. I mean, I know at the end it's quite sad, but I know they like hearing about like the support that he had, I assume, throughout his entire life. Would you mind, telling me what his diagnosis was, and if that attributed to his unfortunate passing?
Well, a lot had to do with he was suffering from diabetes.
Okay.
So most people who know anything about that is it's a lot of threats. It's a lot of things that you have to worry about. You have to be very conscious about what you put in your body. You have to be very mindful of if you bump into something, or like even the healing process. It affects the body in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So him being an amputee and going through surgery after surgery, that could in most people's heads, like that could really turn you into this like depressive pessimist, and that just wasn't his story.
So due to the diabetes, that's why he was in a chair?
Yeah.
Oh, I understand now.
So that's what it was.
That's what was he born that way with diabetes?
Well, you know what, he was, to my knowledge, because like my family, like they speak on it, but they speak on it lightly. They try not to be like that's the focus, But I remember overhearing conversations before where they were saying that I think he was diagnosed when he was like maybe 6, 7, or something like that. So I don't understand how that works, but cause I was still learning. Like even me being there. It was just a lot of stuff that just like wasn't like when I was younger. It was kind of kept away. I knew insulin was a very important thing. I know that you always have to keep a glucose shot close by. So these are just different things, that I picked up on throughout the years.
Yeah. So, see, before we've had this conversation, I always thought he had a pre-existing condition.
Okay.
But, in a way, having it so young, I guess that is pre-existing. But you know what I mean.
Mm.
Maybe he had like muscular dystrophy, actually, something like that. I didn't know it was diabetes, and unfortunately, it took limbs. Not to sound insensitive, but
no, I understand.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I see. It's kind of painful, but anyway, in memory of what's your brother's name? Devon, and I'm sure he's proud of you, Devon. He's proud of you.
Yeah, that's our last conversation was about, actually. The last time we spoke, it was just, it was only a matter of time kind of thing. Like that's what we were talking about. But not, more so about him is that the thing that I loved about him the most was the fact that where most people would like, oh man, like here we go again. Like it wasn't even that. Like he's on a hospital bed joking. You know what I mean? Like he would do this thing where he would like, he would always look at like he was a goon in a way, man. He would look at something as a come up, like all of the time, like oh, this person owed me a cigarette. That person, like he was almost like a bookie. Everybody owed him. Like he just figured out a way where it's like, he was just on his brokest day, he was still rich in a way because everyone owed him something. You know what I mean?
I'm sure you know.
He was a hustler.
I've been in the hospital, and when you lay in bed and there's not a whole lot to do, you're kind of like, well, come to think of it, I remember they were supposed to do this and this and that. So,
and there's people visiting him constantly in the hospital, even when he was back at his apartment, and it was just funny. I'm just like, Devon, like you got a lot of traffic going on. You know what I mean? Like you're almost like you're moving like a drug dealer. What you're doing, but he wasn't. It was just funny just to see that. And no matter where, if you stick him anywhere long enough, not only he'll get good with the people, but somehow he's benefiting from it. He just has one of those like, I don't know, personalities where it's like my mind on my money on my mind.
Now, part of not to toot my own horn, but part of what makes my podcast what it is I ask the questions that I think a lot of people want to ask that are too afraid to ask.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions that people may be afraid to ask.
Okay.
And it is your prerogative to say, I don't know, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Question for, Devon.
Mm-hmm.
With this diabetes and everything, was it something that he did in his life or in his diet that could have prevented him from getting a limb cut off, or was it inevitable? Not blaming him, but you know what I mean, like, because I know my mom has had a few friends, or as I know she's talked to me about if you lose a limb, this is just paraphrasing, you may not be taking the best care of yourself. Not saying that he did or didn't, just saying for what my mom made it seem like it takes a lot to get to that point. And I wanted to know, was it inevitable, or could he have done a few things different to help with that?
I think like most people, whenever you're told not to do something, it heightens the desire to want more.
Okay.
So think about it. Suppose you have a sweet tooth.
Yes.
And that's a habit of yours. It's hard to like stop that, because it's it's one of those things that calls you, especially knowing that you can't have it. That it adds to the want, And I think that for him, I think that's what it was. I think that it was a number of things, but I think that that it didn't help. It didn't help, and I didn't like I think smoking cigarettes isn't good for anyone. I would get on them all the time about that. It's a nasty habit.
So again, not to blame him, but it sounds like there were a few things he could have done differently to help himself.
Yeah.
Not taking away from what happened to him.
Yeah.
But okay, all right. Just making sure, because I know a few of my listeners may be curious about that, and sometimes I'm like, damn, I should have asked this, but I understand. But like I said, in another way, rest in peace. Did you create anything for him, like artistically, like you and your father, like you know?
I was asked to, but this is a very sensitive subject. This is actually the first time I've ever like spoken like on any platform, anything like that in regards to my brother.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't talk about it as much because the thing is that like there are other emotions I don't mind like artistically to be on display, but there are certain things that I think that should be held privately, and then maybe someday I'll get to that point, but I don't think that all emotions were meant to be for display. So I feel very strongly on that because it's like it could be someone you love in your past and you illustrate them, or it could be a character in a book that you read that you really really love. You love the protagonist in the film you wanted to paint, but it's a different kind of feel when it's someone that you grew up with, rather well, and it's just it's real sensitive. It's still fresh. He hasn't been going that long, so
okay.
So still, and even if it's a decade, I don't know if I'll ever be ready. That was my dog. That was my brother, like my legit brother.
I mean, yeah. Legit. But like I said, I'm sure he's proud of you, looking wherever he is. And maybe would you say that's one of your motivators? Because before the podcast began, for you guys that don't know, he's got a lot of cool projects coming up, and he was just explaining to me about how certain things are going to have to go away for a while so he can focus on his craft, as far as personal things, friendships, things like that, so he can achieve his goal. So do you feel like he's inspired you like to keep going and to keep
absolutely absolutely, because whenever he had like, here's the thing, Divine was a hustler by every stretch of the imagination. He figured out a way, like if he figured out it was a place he can go to where it was like a discount, he'll do that. Like he'll even all right, I could find, suppose this is, I don't know, something random. They got a bunch of Kit Kats, they're on sale. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna sell these. I'm gonna get them for cheap, and then I'm gonna sell them for the real price. It's that kind of, like, he's that kind of a person, So I'm just saying that on a small scale. So yeah, it's just one of those things. The kind of person he was. But I say all that to say is that the money that he would make whenever he came up and somehow he figured out a way to make some extra ends, he see to it. Like he made it a sure thing that my mom would give my mom money, and my mom is like, even if my mom needed it, because we're a poor family, we struggle.
Yeah.
My mom would say, no, keep your money, and the thing is that he'll actually like hide it in the car.
Oh.
He used to hide the money in the car, and like he wouldn't, like my mom would refuse it, and then she'll see it, and then she might even forget and think that she left it there, because that's so it was one of those things
that's
that
what he was counting on.
Yeah, he was, so the thing is that I kind of want to keep that tradition going with, because like that's something that he did more, and I was just young, and it was an age, it's a 9-year age gap between us.
Okay.
I'm 29, so it's I want to keep that going. I felt like I was kind of moving away from family, and then I just started like trying to get into like art more at the time, of his passing. So it's like, what, I need to get back and be more family oriented, like he was. So that's one thing that I definitely took from him that I want to like reinforce.
Now, since this has been quite heavy, and like I feel I've lost someone very close to me a few years ago, so I'm feeling for you.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years, and it still feels like yesterday that they have passed. So I'm feeling for you, but I kind of want to lighten the mood, kind of end on some happiness and
bring the
joy.
Happiness.
So first, is that you?
Unfortunately.
His phone's ringing.
Yeah.
He's popular. Okay.
Don't say it. That's not true.
I'm sure it's true. So I guess moving back into your art life. So when you were growing up and everything, I'm sure you took art classes in elementary, in grade school. Did you win any prizes? Were you you know what I mean? Were you a protege of your school?
Actually, I never took a single art class, for the record.
Even in school?
Even in school.
Don't they make you take art in grade school, elementary school?
They make you do art projects, but I never took an art class. They had one little program when I was in junior high. I went to Wagner, and they took kids, and I guess they took all kids from one grade, and I guess they were trying to create this like trendy thing or whatever you want to call it, but the objective is to try to just expose kids to various different forms of art. And the thing is that they only wanted, in the beginning, they let any kid do it within like the first week or two of going. And then what ended up happening is that they dialed it back and then they said, okay, we're only going to do this for the children who are on honor roll. That took me out of that scenario. Because I wasn't on honor roll. Okay. The thing is, I struggled in school, to be honest. And I think it was more so, they were trying to force me to learn it like one way, where it's like I remember being taught that there are like 3 different ways that people can, learn, and they're trying to force me. They're trying to force me to learn one way, So.
So popular.
Let me turn this off. But yeah. So pretty much, I never took a class, but what I can say is that I watched and studied my father throughout the years. So if that's considered a class, then yeah.
So you've never taken an art class. Have you ever won any awards in school, grade school, high school, for any of your work?
Yeah, you know what? There's one thing in elementary I remember, and yeah, I didn't really enter a whole bunch of competitions. I didn't start taking art I always took it seriously, but I kept it. It was one of those things I kept to myself. I didn't want to show it. It was like a secret. It's like a secret hidden power, so to speak. Like if you knew me, you know that's my thing, But anyways, when I was in elementary school, they had some competition where it was like something stupid like placemats. And if you design it, it's about recycling. And it's like, if you could come up with this cool design for recycling, you can have your art on placemats at like Denny's. That's some crap, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, all right, that's interesting. And as a kid, it's like, Mom, it's Denny's. I'm going to get it on placemats. And that was the highlight of my career, in elementary. But what ended up happening is that they gave I guess, what is it called? An honorable mention or whatever.
Sure.
They gave me something, keep doing your thing. And I think it was a part of the DARE program, the anti-drug thing,
Yeah, I remember that.
So they were kind of working in conjunction with and the encouragement of, I guess this was the early stages of Go Green,
Right.
Captain Planet stuff.
Okay. Well, Captain Planet stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta save the planet.
I mean, it is important.
No, I'm not.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I always have to throw an anti-Trump thing in every podcast. Some of us don't believe in global warming.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I'll go with that.
Yeah.
What was it? Really quick. Side note. I'm really into politics and everything.
Okay.
You will, and as a black man, gotta make sure you're registered to vote, right?
Absolutely.
You will be voting next year, right?
Absolutely.
Did you vote this past year? This past presidential election?
As a matter of fact, I did.
You did.
But I'm keeping that on the hush hush. I will talk politics, but I try to keep it my beliefs private.
That means he either voted for Hillary or Jill Stein. He didn't say that. Those are my conclusions. He's going to kill me after the podcast. But This is not what he said. This is what I've calculated. So I'm glad to know that you're voting. I always want to, like I said, I want to end on something like this morning, Trump put out a tweet. Apparently, you know how he does. He calls them campaign rallies, but they're basically parades or like to make him feel better. Whenever he's had a bad week, he always throws some kind of party or rally for himself. You know. Yeah. So he said tickets are almost sold out. I guess it's going to Orlando coming up. I think this weekend or the next couple days or whatever. And he's just like, it's good to be the biggest and the best yet. And I took a screenshot of the aerial view of his inauguration and how many people weren't there. Oh, and I said, are you still making up for lost time, buddy?
I think that, you know, in regards of like Trump, I do think that you're only as good as the people you surround yourself by. So if people are giving negative critiques, it's like, you know, it's, you know, you want to like, kind of look at a reflection of yourself and just say, hey, you know, are you proud of the man you become? Are you proud of the decisions you made at the end of everything? The most selfish person, I think that, not unless if you're heartless, like you're going to think that. Now, look, when those cameras are rolling and everyone's watching him and he's under pressure, and I'm sure he made most people, you know, you could fake confidence only for so long. But the thing is that I do think that I don't think that he's proud of all the decisions he's made. I'm sure that even if you could be the most arrogant, I'm sure he's critical of himself, because, you know, the reason why I think that is that why I try to, if I tell you I'm the greatest, man, we're talking about breakfast. You want bacon or turkey bacon? No, but I'm letting you know that. I don't know if you know this, but I'm the greatest.
Okay.
And I'm just like, okay, that has nothing to do. Why are you you're trying to convince me something?
Right.
So I think that it's kind of like that dynamic, and then you have people slamming them, which, I mean, I'm not like sympathetic whatsoever, but
sounds like it.
But no. Like I'm not. I'm just thinking that it's like, you know, it's easy to hate a person, but if anything, I kind of feel like, you know, I guess it is. I said I'm not sympathetic, but in a weird way, it's like, you know, I hope that, you know, he gets the proper help that's needed, because I do think that he does need help, like mentally.
Well, yeah. So basically, what you're saying is you feel like
he needs to step down from his position and get professional. That's what I think.
That will never happen.
I think that because I think that being in the public eye doesn't help. Like I don't think that people are, when you're constantly under a microscope, you know, the healing process can't start, because I feel like you're constantly either under scrutiny, or people are constantly, you're giving them even more content and reasons to hate you. And you're always trying to keep this like look of yourself that you got it together, when clearly something is wrong. So it's just like, at what point do you step away from the spotlight?
But his entire life has kind of.
See, that's the problem, though.
So you're saying what you're saying is because his life has always been in the spotlight, that has contributed to how insane he is?
I think that, yeah. I mean, think about it. Like, see, regular people, they have downtime. They can walk to a coffee shop. They can go and step away. They can talk to other people, like regular people, not people who are blowing smoke up your ass and just saying, "Hey, you're the greatest. Because they want something from you." But the thing is that, you know, that's why it's like it's real power in having someone in your circle, and then everyone's worshiping you like a god, and then they're just like, dude, you know you messed up, right? You need someone in your circle to be critical of you, to kind of bring you down from your high. And I think that celebrities alike, like all of them, they all kind of have a little bit of that trait in them, where too many people like look up to them, and it only becomes a real problem when you believe in your own hype. You have to be critical of yourself. You have to make room to be able to say, you know what, I screwed that up, and I need to go back to the drawing board. But I don't think that's what's happening with them. And
my only question, not to interrupt, but I interrupted.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that level, but like if we look at celebrities haven't tried to separate families from their kids at the border.
Oh,
not
no.
celebrities
haven't like
tried to put a Muslim ban on people, which came correctly, like, out of left field. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I think that I would encourage the idea to step down. I said that earlier. Like, you should just step down and really just think about the decisions that were being made. And, if it's someone more suitable, which I'm sure there is, to step up, allow them to. I mean, a perfect world, like I'm fully awake, and I know that this isn't like, what I mean, a likely occurrence, but I'm just thinking like that would be the beginning stages of him for redemption. Be able to say, you know what, I gotta go about life better.
Last thing I'll say on the Trump subject. The reason why a lot of people will not step down, in my opinion, I think a year and a half ago, a book came out called Fire and Fury. It's like a deep dive into the Trump administration. Precursor, correct. You don't know how many people laugh at this man behind his back and use him, I guess kind of like you said, use him. Because everyone said there's no way he's going to win. He didn't even want to win. He just wanted, like, the second coming of his career to come around. You know what I mean? So, like, I guess in that sense I agree with you. He's got too many yes men. But at the same time, it just...
Because, like, honestly, I don't think that, like... I think that, okay, maybe you could run a business, but in a country, I think it's a different dynamic. It's not the same exact thing. I'm no specialist in either area, but what I do know is that, like, when you're trying to convince people one thing that you are, it's like you're wasting too much time trying to convince, like, or trying to hide. There's clearly something wrong going on, and I think that, in a perfect world, I guess, I personally believe that maybe you should consider stepping down, because right now it's like, I think that your businesses at this point, that's what you care about the most. I'm imagining this mindset. If you care about your money the most, and that's something you really care about more than the American people, then you may want to seriously consider stepping down, because now your assets, all this stuff will be under fire. Because now people don't even want you either have to go under a name, because your name doesn't carry the same weight it once did. You're hurting people, like, in a lot of ways.
But he doesn't care.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think that I don't think no one's pure evil. I think that to some extent he does care, because he's trying to convince people that he isn't the monster that he portrays him to be. So he does care to some level, but I don't think he cares in a way to change. And I think that it's going to hurt him. Because you have to, at the end of the day, you have to look in the mirror at some point, And I feel like, I think that that's where I kind of feel like, I don't want to be good. I don't think I would allow myself to go to that point of, like, we all get stuff wrong, but consistently, it's like almost intentional in a weird way. So it's like, for me, it's like, I don't really try to, like, speak on it too much, because, I don't want to ignore it. Obviously, you turn on the news every day, it's always there. But it's like, it's almost like when I see a problem, I always think like how to solve it. And the thing is that this is a problem that just morphed into something, it's like bigger, just something crazier. And it's like, you got too many people fighting each other, and we need to really just find a middle ground. And I think if even people who even voted for them, if they were honest,
right,
and if they could really see for what it is, that this isn't good. It's not good for the American people. Like, this really isn't good. Like, it has to be something better.
Well, there was somebody better, and America did not vote for her. And on that positive note, I think he should go back to running his businesses. And and it's not even like he's great at that. He blew $10 billion in like 10 years, so it's not that great. But you know, at least he had money. So on that note, we do have to end the podcast because I have somebody for you guys who can't see. I have somebody who's waiting to do her podcast right now. But before we go, you gotta tell me something funny, something hilarious. Yes. Something funny that happened today. Any day. We always end on something funny. Ha ha. Okay, the other night. You were on the train the other night.
I was on the train and everything, and someone farted. Everyone looked like we did it in line, right? And we heard it again, and it was just a little chihuahua.
Now that's funny.
But it was actually louder. It was like a human. It was pretty loud. So that was something.
What was I gonna say? The baby I tell you about that we have, he was sitting near me and he passed gas and the whole floor started vibrating because of how strong this fart was. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, what did you eat today? But yeah, on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely want to do a part 2 with you because I feel like we could really get into some debates without and still walk away being friends at the end. Because I disagree with you on so many levels with how you presented Trump, but I see your point. You're definitely a peacemaker, and I'm just like, get him out, do whatever you gotta do to get him out. But I see where you're coming from. But thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. Yes, thank you guys for listening or watching, or both. If you like this video, you like the Vision Audio podcast, give it a thumbs up, comment, tell me what you like, subscribe, tell me what you don't like, and consider becoming a patron on patreon.com for $5 a month. Everything will be in the description below. Have a wonderful day, and you'll see me in the next video. Bye.